Was there a moment where you just kind of looked around at one point and said, we made it, we beat the odds?
Our culture was not based upon one sole owner. Our culture was based upon a married couple doing life together who cared about the people who worked with them.
You made a business, you made a family out of restoring people's property. And now you're making a legacy, you're making a life out of restoring people's lives.
Someone who wants to change needs a friend who says, hey, we should change this too. Let's do this together.
Their dream is to do what you did. Do they have any idea of how difficult that really is, though?
I don't think so. It's not a place of change. It's not a place of rehabilitation. Prison is not like that. But our job is to bring hope. If you don't have hope, what's next, right? It's just complete failure.
You're going to hopefully change some people's opinions on a very sensitive, difficult topic. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the part 2 of Violand's GPS podcast, where we talk through stories with restoration and plumbing, HVAC business owners and industry thought leaders, experts, hearing the high highs and low lows and their opinions and how everything is going. And this one, we're doing a 2-part because part 1 was just absolutely amazing with my friend Willy Johnson, the, what we call you, the janitor and grand poobah, former janitor and grand poobah of Alpha Omega Restoration up in Billings, Montana. And Willie had a very unique background where he made some bad decisions growing up, got in an awful lot of trouble, got arrested, went to jail for a number of years, had a change of heart, found religion, found a better set of people to be around who could influence him in a positive way, and sort of stumbled, you would say, into restoration, but it wasn't the restoration that really grabbed him. It was helping people because the heart had changed and the heart needed to be filled with goodness. And we had finally found it. So Willie, welcome to another episode with us. Let's jump into this now. You've started the business. You're starting to bring on employees. Moving into a management or a leadership position became natural for you because you were leading people and managing people the way you thought you needed to be managed, the way that God would want you to manage people and what was comfortable for you at that point. So now we've got some employees, your wife's working part-time somewhere else. How did we reach the point then to where she was able to come into Alpha Omega and take the next steps in the business?
I think, it wasn't very long. It wasn't very long that we were like, holy buckets. Like there is a whole world of financials and accountings and payables, receivables, and all that stuff that was piling up. And if any of you know me, Jeff, I don't know if you know me, but that's not my gifting.
You hide it well. You hide it well.
So Julie stepped in, and that was like, no, she's like, we've got to do something about this. So she jumped in, and she just took that stuff over. She just is like, excuse me, let me go ahead and jump in here and make a difference in your life. So she was behind the scenes with that. It wasn't very long that she jumped in and started helping out and orchestrating that. And really, we had a little accountant helping her out. She developed and she designed how this thing was going to go down behind the scenes with the financials. And it just really worked well.
So your motivating factor was, I want to help people. And I like helping people with restoration because they need that help a lot more than being a remodeler where they're getting something they want. I'm giving them something they need.
Yep.
I feel better because of that action.
Yep.
Was that her motivation too? Was her motivation to come on board in the business because she felt you needed the help? Was it to build it for the family? And I'm trying to be nice there. I could be a little bit more direct with that one if you need it, but I think you know where I'm going. What was her passion then?
It was a pity. She felt so bad.
She felt like she got a lost puppy, and she had to.
Like, I gotta help this. No, I definitely think she saw, and she wanted to be part of it anyway. She just knew that if we're going to be successful moving forward, someone has to anchor this entire side of the business because Willie is not gifted in that. So, yeah, I don't think it was ever like she really she rode the extractor plenty of times. All right, I mean, she was out I'm like, let's go. We got to grab the 3-year-old. We got to get out here and get this flood taken care of.
You
You
can
know,
use
so
3-year-olds for labor. There's really
it's
no law against that if it's your own
that's
3-year-old.
not until they get to 10. Then there's some weird laws.
Yeah, people
It's
notice
fine.
then, but when they're 3, it's cute. You can do it.
Right? Yeah, customers are all about it. It's great.
Pro
So
tip.
she did that, but really her gifting was to anchor and make this thing successful on that backside, which obviously uh, she did.
So how did you initially then divide up the roles between the two of you?
Oh, that's a good one, my man. That's fire. That's walking on coals.
That's going to lead to
You
my
know,
next question
that's right.
about when things go like this.
What happens when the Earth collides with an asteroid?
That's
Um,
it.
so really, we struggled with that for years. We really struggled with that for years. Because I'm the adventure, I'm the entrepreneur, I'm the risk taker, and she's not. She's the opposite. She's going to make sure we don't go broke. She's going to make sure that our vendors are paid and that we're getting paid, right?
Hopefully
So
early on you decided she was going to run the books, right?
we did, but I still had to bill out the insurance companies, which I was always delayed, bro. Like, it's like week 3, we've been done. Can you like do some billing, Willie? Man, I guess
Yeah,
I will.
we hear that all the time with clients of like, okay, why is this so late? Well, yeah, I just haven't gotten around to invoicing
Yeah,
it. Like,
right.
you do need money to
I've
live
heard that. I've
and
heard
do
that
things.
theory. It's weird.
Is it there wasn't the self joy from the invoice part? Is that why it goes to the back burner, or did you not want to have maybe altercations with people at that point in your life? And getting paid sometimes gets a little frisky.
it that was a different day, man. That was early 2000s. I
Okay,
had great relationships with local adjusters. We
okay.
didn't have a fight. It was like we're going to lunch today and we're going to pencil this out and be done. Yeah, yeah, different day, obviously, but no, I just was ADD kicked in. I did not want to sit behind the computer and do that billing. I'd much rather wait for the next call and or go straighten the equipment up, put some new cord ends on, whatever we had to do. Yeah,
So over the course of a couple of years, you guys are 50-50 partners in this, in the business and
she's
life.
51. She's 51. I was
She's,
49.
she's 51, so
Just
she's
in
wearing the
case it,
pants in the business. Okay.
well, just in case anything went south, you know?
Way to protect yourself, bud.
Yes,
So
sir.
you're working through all of this, and you're having these discussions at work that start going like this, and then you go home and you have those discussions boil over, or a conversation at home goes like this and boils over at work. What advice can you give? So many of our clients are family.
Man,
So
that's great.
I know that you solved this problem completely,
It's in my
and
book. It's coming out soon.
it's in the book. There's always a book. Uh, so what advice can you give then to how do you keep the professionalism? How do you keep the respect? And how do you not let one affect the other too much?
Yeah. And that's you could really write a book on this topic for real. I don't know that we've dialed that into. I had someone give me advice a long time ago, marital advice. Number one, don't sweat the small things. Don't sweat the small things, and most things are small. Okay. And if you understand that your business partner, your wife, your family is in a lane that they understand more than you need to not sweat that. Okay.
Hmm.
You need to respect that and you need to stay in your lane. And just that takes some humility and it takes a little bit of patience and it takes a lot of just character stuff that to do that because you want to. You think, oh, I should know this. I know better than that. This is what I want. That's just really not the case. So don't sweat it. And then if you're in business with your wife, some other advice someone gave me who I don't really even, I mean, to this day, I think the advice was phenomenal, but it was weird that he gave it to me like this. He said, Willie, you should just give her what she desires. You should just give her what she wants. Yeah. Well, I happen to marry up. You've heard about that, right? I got an outstanding woman with a high character. She comes from an outstanding family. She's not from the wrong side of the tracks like this dude. She's gonna do the right thing because it's the right thing for the family. It's the right thing for our daughter, for our employees, and I have to trust that, right? So I do, and I did. That didn't eliminate me getting fat headed and being like, well, no, why can't we do this? And we should do that. And my entrepreneurial spirit jumping in and being like, we probably need 16 new vehicles
That's
because the other
right.
ones look like they're running down.
Go buy a new building and maybe a
Right.
boat.
That's exactly right, man. So I think those lanes were crossed primarily from me. She never came into operations and was like, well, I think you should probably get this extractor, whatever. No, she didn't care about that stuff, man.
She said, "Go get the invoices out, bud."
Yeah, that's it.
Payrolls do.
That's right. And I'm like, yes, okay, I get it. I hate it, but I get it and I'll do it. Right. So I don't know, Jeff. I don't think that there's that was a lot of learning. And we
Yeah.
got home and we talked. What's left to talk about after you spend all day together, right? At work. So we kind of tried to shut that down. Well, let's make it. What are we gonna talk about here? Like, there was some silence. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up in one of those businesses. My mom and dad worked together until it all went sour, and in every possible direction. So it's not easy. My wife and I have an agreement that we cannot work together. We
I,
don't think it would go well.
I don't think it's for a lot of people. I really don't. I think the fact that we both had the heart to serve each other and to
Mhm.
serve our employees,
Mhm.
that's our mission. Everything else will align if we do that. So let's do that. Let's try our hardest to fight well in front of the employees. If we're going to respect and fight well. All that it created a culture. Our culture was not based upon one sole owner. Our culture was based upon a married couple doing life together who cared about the people who worked with them. That was our culture, and everyone knew it.
Hmm. Family business.
Yeah.
So you said that kind of the insurance world dragged you into restoration initially because they needed a dot on the map.
Yep.
And the business takes off pretty quickly where Julie's able to quit her job, come work with you, and start building this thing out. Was there a moment where you just kind of looked around at one point and said, boy, we created something special here? Well, we made it. We beat the odds.
We had joined with another consulting company,
Hmm?
and they do site visits, and they came in as a group, and man, I hate to even say it, but it was kind of insulting. Like, they didn't get our mission. These guys were all about the business,
Mhm.
like, and I was like, holy buckets, these guys are evaluating like our numbers, and like, your pictures are crooked on the wall. What are you doing? It's like, what are we doing here? They were a little insulting, and I understand what they were doing. That was fine. That just wasn't my method. Wasn't my drive for what we were doing. I think at that point I stepped back, and Julie and I both were looking at like, what are we at and where do we want to go? It was kind of that point that we didn't want to sit in a group with people who did not have it figured out, who were telling you to do what they thought would be the best method, but they weren't doing it either. And I'm like, well, that's dumb. I could do that on the street corner with some bums. So that was a turning point for us when we experienced that critique stuff like that. It was like, well, we have something way better than these other people. Like, we have loyalty. We have people that, my entire crew would come eat dinner at my house. We're just that close, right? It was not, it really didn't feel like a business relationship. It felt family-ish, even
You
though
didn't base your KPIs on tangible dollar bills and stuff like that. You based your KPIs on the intangibles, the feeling that you all gave each other from caring about each other.
can you big words like KPI? What's that mean? No, there wasn't KPIs then. You're exactly right.
Right.
It was a culture beat. It was like, what's happening here? Do we have any divisive things going on that we got to hash out? That's all that was. Exactly. Yeah. But that was our turning point. That's when, that's essentially when we met with you guys after that scenario was going down. And then some more, then we got into like, okay, so you got the why figured out, but what's your game plan? You
Yeah.
know? And that's when that stuff started clicking. Holy crap.
That's when you
I
took
gotta,
off.
I gotta meet with these guys every other week or every week, and they're gonna give me stuff to do. And I'm like, what is going on
They're
here?
they're going to tell you to send out those invoices.
That's right.
Yeah. So this goes on for a couple of years, and you guys built a great business. You had some incredible employees. I got to meet a bunch of them over the years who came to different training events that we did. You and I and Julie and my wife, we all became great friends, and the whole you became part of the Violan family, and we felt like we were part of the Alpha Omega family. And then I go to a trade show. I want to say it was RIA right after COVID, and I met you in a hotel lobby. And you said, hey, come on over. I want to talk to you. And I could be wrong on the trade show. I think that's what it was. And that's when you sat down and said, I got some news. We're selling. And it broke my heart. But
Oh,
I was
no.
very happy for you guys because I knew that the passion was never, I want to build the biggest restoration business in the world. You had another passion in life, and we'll get into that here in a second. So I was thrilled to death for you guys and what you were able to do for your family. But what led you to consider at that point that the timing was right to sell the business?
Gosh. Well, I think that we were probably Monroe's first guys that he was mentoring, and we had talked through all that stuff, and he was just so encouraging. Like, we can set this thing up and for a 10-year scenario where you guys can exit, and then you can encourage. We can do what we want to do with the rest of our time. And I wanted to work with guys coming out of prison, the guys who wanted to change, want to step by them and do that. So that's really that was the initial, like, probably 6 months to a year into your guys's mentorship with us, that started talking about that. And then so really we were nowhere ready to sell. We weren't in a scenario to hand a package deal off to anybody. I mean, there was a ton of things relying just on me and my efforts. I mean, everything on the backside end was always relying on Julie and her efforts. So this was nowhere near systemized. And that's where you guys came in with that. Like, let's figure this out. If this is really what you want to do, you got to put some systems in place and do this. So that was the transition for knowing when. And we weren't even ready yet, Jeff. Like, that's a lot of work, my man, to do that. It's a lot of get your face out of the flood and get your face in the office and work on this SOP. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that I was dreading driving back to the office from a loss because John Monroe is waiting on the other line, and I'm like 10 minutes late, and he's going to ask me, did I get this done?
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
No. Make it even worse. I didn't even want to do it.
No, that's right. I didn't tell him that. Yeah, that's right. But that's the truth of the matter. And the whole time Julie's in the office, she's like, yeah, I got my stuff done. Did Willie did you get your stuff done, honey? John's on the phone, and I'm just like, come on, I didn't. Don't even ask. It's crazy.
Oh, I wish I would have been there. That would have been great to watch.
That's great. that was the catalyst to start thinking, oh, we should prep this, because I really wanted to. I couldn't do that forever because I can't. I'm not a great multitasker. I know you probably don't believe that, but I'm just not. The ADD kicks in, and I'm like, all right, I think I can run everything, and everything falls apart. So, in order to run a nonprofit and to work with guys coming out of prison, I couldn't run that, and I was kind of just, for lack of a better words, I just really have a hard time letting go, as probably most of the owners. I am a quality driven individual. I want the product and I want the customer experience to be A plus, right?
Well, the business at that point almost becomes like another child of yours, right? I mean, you built this thing from the ground up with your wife.
That's right. Yep. And
Part of
you
your
see
identity.
it. Yeah. You see that with the people that come in every morning, man. I mean, like, if that didn't fuel your cup, I don't know what does. Like, leading these people to give an exceptional service and to save the day and teach them what you know about that, man, I don't even know. That's just great stuff.
So at that point, you said, I'm not the guy to take this business to the next level. This is not my wheelhouse. It's not my passion anymore. I'm going to sell it. You've come to terms with that. You and Julie have made that decision. You've shared it with your consultant, and we're on board. It's time to prep this thing to sell.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that you had to do at that point? Think about go back and tell yourself, hey, you're selling this business. I need you to do this, 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 and this. What are some of those things that you want people to know?
I got to be careful here, Jeff.
We don't have to cross any legal boundaries. I don't need specifics. Give me 10,000 foot. Hey, here's the things you need to be thinking about.
You really got to think about who you're selling to. Who do you sell to, and what is their mission, right? Now, I think myself, I was in la la land. Number one, financially, like, really, you're going to offer us that kind of money for a business? That's really kind of cool. I had no idea we were anywhere worth anything like that, you know? Um, two, who who are you? Who's buying you, and what are they going to do with you, right? So you don't really, Jeff, when you sell stuff, do you ever sell a used car with some dents and dings and some rims that are
Yeah.
rusty? No, you don't
You
sell
tell the
that. You
story of the
sell
car.
you said the car is a good running car, right?
Yeah.
And it's got a few miles on it, but it's got hundreds of thousand more.
It's reliable.
It's reliable. So, uh, on an honest depiction, I would say dive deep into who you're selling to and try to understand what they're going to do. Because you're leaving behind your family, right?
Mhm.
We left behind our family. These people who were loyal to not the restoration industry, to Willie and Julie Johnson. That's who, and each other. They were loyal to each other. That's why they came to work every day, to go into a stupid crawl space, into a hot attic, into a basement filled with sewer, into a burned out firehouse. They came in to be with each other and to serve our customer. That's what they were doing. They didn't come to make $100,000 a year. Yeah, that's you can do that other places,
Mhm.
right?
A
So
lot
you're
easier way to
leaving.
do it.
You were leaving those guys behind. And hindsight's 2020, right? All that stuff is, and I know there's been great experiences out there for people selling. And that's what I would say. Two things: know who you're selling to, and know why you're selling. Geez Louise, Jeff, if I sit here and told you that I don't have an itch um, to have a team of people saving the day, I'd be lying to you. I have that itch still. I loved what we did.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to Violin's GPS podcast. I hope you're discovering valuable insights and practical wisdom to guide you on your journey. The 2025 Violin Executive Summit will take place on June 23rd and 24th in Canton, Ohio. This event features 12 advanced business courses to choose from, covering topics such as performance management, artificial intelligence, digital marketing, results driven selling, business financials, and much more, combining collegiate and real world education from world class instructors, all customized to small businesses in the trades. It's also a fantastic opportunity to network with inspiring professionals like those featured on the GPS podcast. Don't miss out. Register today at violin.com or use the links provided on the screen or in the description. Now, let's get back to our show. The day that you walked out for the last time, what was that feeling? Was there a kind of a sadness that it's over? Or is there I got a couple bucks, that's cool, but I've got my whole life ahead of me?
Yep, I think a little bit of most of that stuff. I was a consultant for the company that bought us, so we had brought in and lateral leadership too, and I was already grooming a GM to take over the business to be in my spot. So I groomed him for maybe a couple years for that stuff. So he was in place. Everybody was chiming, doing their thing. I stepped into a large loss role. We'd lost a couple of project managers, and if there was no one else on the team really to do those large losses. So I said, hey, I'll do that as I transition out here. And that took an extra year for me to do that stuff. So I got to, be in the office, be out of the office, be in the office, be out of the office, run things. I was just running the projects while my other guy was running the operations. But at the same time, he was answering to the new corporate. So I got to see all that unfold, how that was unfolding. And yeah, that's what I got to see. So it was bittersweet. Last day, I mean, I don't really remember the last day. I had two things going on. My dad was dying, and I think I fully resigned the week before he actually died. So he was in the hospital, and so it was like a major scenario going on. Yeah.
So you get away from the business. We've got some of the family stuff that happened, but then you get the real Willy Johnson redemption story, because the Willy Johnson redemption story isn't Alpha Omega Restoration. That's a cool thing that you did, but the redemption story is what you're doing now. And I think that people would be you're going to hopefully change some people's opinions on a very sensitive, difficult topic here, but tell everybody what you've started and what that looks like.
Yeah. the opinions that we want to change are the leaders that are running businesses. Um, us who we want to change. So what we've been able to start and is it's just called Montana Reentry. What we do is we go to prison once a week, and we go to some pre-releases. We hang out with guys who are actually raising their hand and saying, "I want to change. I want to do something different. There's got to be a better way." Right? So with those guys, we sit next to and we talk. We talk through life. We talk about God. We talk about redemption. We talk about what the future is going to hold. And we kind of dig into some stuff about their historical context, where they came from, right? So we're not running therapy groups. I'm not any kind of a licensed doctor, but we are, let's say, accountability. Someone who wants to change needs a friend who says, "Hey, we should change this too. Let's do this together." So that's what we do. We walk next to them in prison. We walk next to them when they get out. And we're just that friend that's not going to go away, that they can screw up and they can come and sit on the tailgate of my pickup and we're going to talk through it. We're going to pick up the pieces again.
How
Yeah.
often do they look at you and say, there's no hope? No one's going to hire me. I can't change when I get out. And you tell them your story. Do you see something in their eyes? Do they believe you, or is there still a lot of work that has to be done?
Oh, I think they believe me. Yep. I think that brings a lot of validation to the story, to their future story. Like,
And just because if people didn't see the first part of this, and we're
yeah,
not going to go into all the details again, but you grew up with a difficult childhood, difficult family home. You moved, you ended up joining a gang, you got into some major altercations, you committed some pretty serious, very serious offenses. You went to jail from what, 15 to 21? And got out of jail at 21 with a felony that you can't ever get rid of.
correct.
And so what they're trying to do, their dream is to do what you did. And
That's
that brings
exactly
about
right.
this passion for it. So here you are as the success story of what they possibly can be. Do they have any idea of how difficult that really is, though?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're growing up in the neighborhoods and stuff like that, it's your reality, right? You don't understand that this is a pretty shitty neighborhood, right? You don't think about that stuff. So when these guys now are sitting in our group settings, they understand where they've come from and they understand the challenges that are ahead of them. I think it's very clear for them. But our job is to bring hope. If you don't have hope, what's next, right? It's just complete failure, right? So that's the deal with the word hope. If you don't have hope that you can do something different, you can make a difference in someone's life, there's no future for you. You might as well continue to be a better criminal because that lifestyle is what's left. So that could be hope. You could be hope to be a better drug dealer, maybe. Whatever, that's bananas. People do it. So I think you give them the visual effect of here's Willie, and I'm a pretty down to earth guy. I'm not anything special. Just ask Julie. I'm down to earth, and we're gonna have a good
She has told me
conversation.
that. Yeah,
I
multiple times.
well,
I
she
argue
won't.
on your behalf, but
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. They can see themselves in me. That's the thing. This isn't a doctorate. I'm not talking like a doctor. I'm talking about real life issues. What do you do with the next thought that comes in your mind that's not making any sense? What do you do with it? Those are like the real life issues that we're talking through and we're hashing out when we're talking with these guys. So they see it, they put it into practice, and they move forward. It's just elementary.
so the challenge I think that I mean, clearly the biggest challenge is they get out of jail. It's really difficult to find any job, much less a good job, a good job that has a future in it, because so many companies will not hire you if you have specific backgrounds. And how do you work with them? And how are we talking to business owners? And what would you say to me if I'm a business owner and
Mm-hmm.
I own Violan Management and I'm going to make a hire and I got a great candidate and I find out on a background check that he's got a significant past, he's got a felony, and I'm going to say no, I'm not hiring a felon. What's that conversation, or what should that conversation be?
Yeah. Well, I'll talk about two different groups. One group is the groups that are not involved with uh, partnering with change. The groups that are just doing time in prison, those groups have a little different scenario that they need to talk to employers about, right? That's going to be a door close after a door close after a door close, right?
Help me with that. What? Go deeper into that.
Yeah. So people who are in prison just doing their time, um, they're
This is a career
victims.
criminal. Are you talking about?
Well, or felt like the system's done them wrong, like they did not really do their crimes. There's a
Okay.
bunch of, that's just
Yeah.
that happens in prisons, right? They're on appeal because they got me. They got this wrong. I should
They
be.
feel they're the victim.
You'd be surprised, right?
Okay. Okay.
It happens a lot. Those people are going to always have that mindset. So employers who are smart should be able to read through those lines, right? I got a guy that comes, I could tell you my story 3 different ways, Jeff, and I could get you to believe probably any way I want to talk about it, right?
Mhm.
You just don't know the details of it. So when I have a guy come to the group, oh, I got this going, but I really didn't do it. I'm here, kind of, oh, it was a mistake. The jury really didn't know what they were doing, right? I know I pled guilty to it, but I didn't mean to. They coerced me or whatever it is. We have a long road to go with those kind of individuals. Okay. Group 2, I did it. I'm broken and I don't know how to change. I don't know what to do next in order to make this whole scenario different when I get out.
That seems like that might be the most frustrating one.
Well, those are the best ones because they're broken enough. Those are the best ones. We want people at their lowest in order to recognize that they need help, right?
Okay.
That's the ones I want because then we got something to work with, Jeff. I got the guy that's
A little molding clay.
yeah, that's exactly. We got the guys that are at the level where they need a lot of rewiring. Let's just say we got to rewire the house, right? So when those guys apply for a job versus the other guys, and we have a talk with employers, all right, just give me. You got to put your felony down. Give me what you're gonna what happened. Well, I was wrongly convicted and did 25 years, and whatever. And so, what'd you do to better yourself? Well, I appealed my case, and I went to the library to learn all about the legal system. Okay. Group 2, tell me about why you have to put this down in here. Well, I made a major mistake when I was at this age, and these are the classes that I took, and these are the people that I've hung out with to relearn some of this stuff, right? Who are you going to hire?
Well,
You're
group
going to
two
hire
over.
group 2. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's
Not
exactly
hiring
right.
the other guy, but this
No.
one I'll consider.
Because he has no ownership of anything. He spent 20 years in prison and didn't learn a damn thing, right?
Yeah.
This other group is broken enough that they wanted to go after and change their behaviors. That's all we want. That guy that's there, Jeff at Violan, I've already talked to you, and I said that I would get with you if I ever had a guy that come out that I think would be a really good candidate for you guys and your team. And I got one. I've been spending the last few years with him. He made parole, and I would love to give him a chance and see if he'd work out for you. What's
So
Jeff going to say?
you're an advocate. Your role now is to be you're almost screening them, guiding them, coaching them, mentoring them, training them in some ways probably, and then an advocate for them on the outside with connections that you've made with local business.
There you go.
Community members. Wow,
Yeah.
you're a busy man.
I love it though, man.
So you're helping people.
Some of those guys are really, really good employees. I don't think many of them will be business owners, but I think some of them will be excellent employees.
You're the first person maybe in their life that's ever really believed in them.
It can't be, but they're putting the work in. I'm not just believing because they're just humans. Mm-hmm. That's a mistake. So that's really how that employment situation goes. And it's the same thing with we got a local college. Do you need education? Do you want education? We know that education is the number one issue to curb recidivism. You're not going to go back to prison most likely if you get some education behind you. You start college, prison's out. We're done. We're not dealing with that stuff anymore. We got much bigger objectives and goals to be through. So you name it. We talk about getting therapy. We talk about financial scenarios. We talk about parenting. We talk about some relationship wisdoms. Like, what do you do in a relationship? How do you act as a husband? How do you act as a father? You'd be surprised how many people are like, I don't know. This is what I used to do. They need somebody.
If you didn't grow up with a father, you don't really know sometimes what it's supposed to be like if the situation was bad enough.
And most of the time, we don't get a good depiction of what it should be.
So is this you on your own, or are you building a team?
Yeah, I'm on my own right now, but I do have a board who assists me in making some decisions. A
Okay.
nonprofit board. That's yeah, I work for them, I guess. It's crazy how that works. Um, yeah, but they can see it. They can see my heart and what my goals are. So they're real encouraging with that. We are building a team, but with all nonprofits, we need your money.
No, we'll get to that here in a second.
And you can hire people.
And I hope you need a lot more than just my money, buddy. But so what you're saying, as somebody who went through the system, got what the system is supposed to do, that rehab and help you develop into a better person, not just punish you. And you turned your life around, you built a business, you built a family, you did everything most things the right way. From that point on, I know you well enough. We'll say most things the right way from that point on. And what you're saying is, look, this stigmatism that if somebody made a major mistake in their past, it cannot affect the rest of their life if they're willing to do the things that they need to do to make the changes to rehab, to get better, to heal. And is that kind of a message then that we want to get out to some business owners who right now say, I would never hire somebody with that. I don't want to deal with it. And if something goes wrong, what that can do to my business, and overcoming that stigmatism. I mean, that can't be an easy conversation with some of the business owners that are out there, because we're told not to do that. Your business consultant probably should tell you not to do that.
That's
And yet you're living proof that not only can you, but sometimes you probably should.
yeah, it's a tough one. It's very tough, Jeff. There's um one out of maybe 50 of those guys in prison I would present to you, okay? To say, trust me and trust this guy. It's not a place of change. It's not a place of rehabilitation. Prison is not like that. There's a whole handful of guys who are doing it and um, who are worthy of giving a second chance to. As a normal business owner, it's very difficult to read through those lines. Who is that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I got a whole bunch of horror stories from businesses I've talked to that said, "Oh, I see what you're doing. We've let this so and so guy in here, and he almost wrecked this entire business.
Mm.
You know, he's very manipulative and very angry, and we will never have another felon work for us ever again. So proceed with caution. But
Mhm.
man, if you get one that has changed, it could change the trajectory of your business. I wholeheartedly believe that.
So you're doing this, and it's got to be local because of dealing with the business owners and limited resources and getting started with this. Are there people doing this around the country? Is there a
There are,
network or an
mhm,
association or something that you're part of?
yeah, I think there's a few of doing them around the country, and they're usually in dense populated areas like LA. Got some mentors down there who run Homeboy Industries. I'm really looking close at those guys, how they're doing this, and that would be classified as a job training program. They bring these guys in, get them the help they need, and intern them into projects. And so yeah, we're doing some mimicking, we're doing some creating, we're doing some experiential things that we have. It's just a big task. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you made a business, you made a family out of restoring people's property, homes and buildings. And now you're making a legacy, you're making a life out of restoring people's lives, which is pretty cool. That's, you talked about when you wanted to be a leader or a manager, who'd you look to? You look to Jesus. Well,
Well,
not saying you're there, but saying like
that's saying you
you're climbing the ladder, buddy,
there.
which is pretty cool with that. But that can't be cheap to do what you're doing. There's got to be a lot of your time, a lot of your money, a lot of your efforts to go into that. If somebody's interested in helping with that and they say, hey, I don't have the time and the skill set to help somebody rehabilitate their life the way that Willy's doing, but I love that concept. I love that mission and I want to help. How can somebody help you?
Yeah, that's great, man. There's shoot, we're trying to build this so it's duplicable. We would like for someone else with this passion to be able to take this program and run to the next city and start that. I would love that. Yeah, we have a website that worked hard at developing. It's montanareintery.org. montanareintery.org. You can go on there, you can cruise through that. We got my stories up there. Some of our guys' stories are up there. We're already doing classes in prison. We're doing them out. It's been great so far. Yep. And in difference of building a business, like we're creating this nonprofit with the end in mind. Like we want a full-on facility where these guys can come, learn a new way, and then be kinshipped back into society versus just like I'm doing this because I like it. So it's a whole different world. And it's a whole different, we've grown, we've learned how to run a business now. We know that we need to put different matrix in place right off the bat. So
I know you're not comfortable asking for money. I'm a sales guy, so I'm going to ask for the order. If somebody wants to help financially so that you can continue to grow this thing and influence and change more lives out there, is there a way through the website they can go in and either send you enough to buy a coffee or send you enough to buy something even more?
yeah, yeah, you bet, man. And you can sponsor. We got sponsorships on there. There's a
Oh, that's
donation
cool.
area. There's sponsorships. You can see there's weekly giving. There's monthly. There's one time. Yeah, it's really great, man. MontanaReentry.org. Yeah, go check it out.
Well, congratulations on all of your success. It's been great seeing you and Julie not only grow that business, but now what you guys are doing and continuing to grow the family, to grow the community, to give back, to get the most out of a second chance that most people either didn't get or didn't know what to do with. And so absolutely, this has been a lot of fun. I am going to leave it to you on final words or any advice that you want to give, whether it's business or life or whatever. Any kind of advice that you'd like to give to our audience.
Hmm. Wow, man. Invite people into your life who challenge you, and invite the people who will be your fans and who will grow with you, because those guys make the difference, right? I think that's who I think makes the difference. People you let in to speak, like friends, family, consultants, all those guys make a difference.
Well, thank you, Willie, and thank you to everybody. And we will be out shortly with our next episode. We appreciate you listening. Hopefully, you're going to like, subscribe, and we'll see you soon at one of our industry events. Good day.
Thanks, Jeff.